Hi there, guys. Welcome to another podcast at NUFC360. Here with myself, Jason, and Andy today. And our talking points today are going to be the disappointment exit to the Carabao Cup, disappointing transfer window or non-existent transfer window, and, of course, our next game coming up against Brentford. Andy, good to see you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Not so bad. Certainly a lot better than we were last night.
Well, yeah, we didn't even get a match. This is how bad it was. We didn't even get a match reaction out last night. I think all of us as a team were that devastated. I turned it off at halftime. I'm not going to lie. Turned it off at halftime. I'm going to put this public. This is live on YouTube. I put Love Island on instead. That says everything about my situation and how I felt. But yeah.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, don't they, I suppose, yeah.
Funniest thing was, on one of the adverts, I switched the game back on, and that was the moment that I watched Elanga cut in, and I saw the only good thing about the game, which was him scoring.
Well, with your feelings about Elanga, I wondered whether that was good news as far as you were concerned.
Well, it was a quality finish.
Yeah,
it was a quality finish. You can't take away from him. That is the player that we bought and we've been wanting to see.
Yeah, very much so. I think to give him his due. I mean, it feels quite strange to start on a positive after last night. But obviously, not only did he score that last night, he obviously got himself in a couple of other good positions. But I think he is improving. And his confidence seems to be growing. And now he's got the monkey off his back of the first goal. Hopefully, there's a lot more to come from him, perhaps including on Saturday. But if there is a crumb of comfort, and it is a crumb after last night, then it's first him getting his first goal's no bad thing.
Well, I said that about the Liverpool game as well. I did say that I saw a different player, the way he was tracking back and supporting Trippier at right back and doing his defending as well as his attacking. I have seen his work rate been high, but that just reminds me of so many players that we've had in the past that have just worked hard but just never get rewards. I think Jacob Murphy's one of them, but obviously last season he had a great season. But he's someone that always gives 100%, but never always got the final product. You look at players in our history that have been like that. I think St. Maximin was one of them. Who else have we had who's been in that aspect that's just always put the effort in, but never had the rewards, so to speak. But Elanga against Liverpool, I saw a different player, and obviously yesterday I saw him running, and I've been a lot more positive in his movement yesterday.
I think
even though we were three.
Sorry.
No, go on.
I thought he was really good away at PSG as well. I thought he seemed like he had a little bit more of a free role. It didn't seem like they were positionally when they were trying to break. They were too precious about who was left, right, and centre. Because there was a couple of times he kind of drifted over onto the left, and he seemed to play really well. So that's another performance I'd say I'd put in the category of where he's improved and looked better. But we are drifting.
No, I agree.
Off topic by talking about positives when we saw what we saw last night.
Well, sometimes you've got to do it though, haven't you? I think we went into that game knowing that it was mission impossible from the beginning. I think if the theme tune walking out onto the pitch was Mission Impossible, it would have been fitting for us. Let's be honest. It was an uphill battle from the beginning. The reason why we conceded was because we went for the game from the beginning.
Yeah.
I thought if we hadn't have done that, what would we be saying right now? We would be saying, well, we should have been going there and attacking them.
Yeah. I thought his formation suggested he knew the first goal was crucial and he didn't want to give it away. Ironically, we did, and one of the extra centre half we played was the reason why. But I thought it was quite similar to maybe what we tried to do at PSG, which was to be defensively solid and hit on the break. And like basically all of your game plan, all of everything goes out of the window after 6 minutes, doesn't it? With that first goal.
Well, this is again. It's what you just said. It was literally a repeat of PSG. Apart from the fact we didn't get back into this game, we tried to set up not to concede early. We conceded early.
Yeah.
Individual errors as well. I know there's been a lot of stick for Trippier at the moment. I'm not a fan of that. I do think he still gives a lot to the team. I know I just think he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. His clearance yesterday, trying to hook it over the bar. Was there an easier option? But I think when you're on the field and you're in those positions, it's not always as easy. It's easy for us as people that are doing podcasts or pundits on TV. It's easy for them to say, well, he should have done this, he should have done that. But how many seconds did he have to think what he was trying to do? And his idea wasn't wrong, just his execution.
Yeah. Well, in retrospect, the other option would have been to let it run across him because it was, but if he doesn't have confidence as to where their winger is, you, as a defender, you'd rather deal with it than let it run and hope for the best, wouldn't you? But I don't know.
Well, then you put it down to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I find it very hard, like you do, to be critical of Trippier. Is the founding father of everything we've done in terms of the players that we've signed since the takeover, isn't he? And I still think he contributes on the ball. I hear what people say about the lack of pace and how that's starting to catch up with him. But then he's been written off before. I remember that season around about the time we had that season before last, when in the round about the time he'd had a really bad game at Everton and he had a really bad game away at Chelsea and gave away another chance that we had to get further in the Carabao. And he was written off then, and he came back and he's come back from worse before. So I think you write him off at your peril in some respects, but time's got to catch up with him like it does all of us eventually, I suppose.
I think we've got to look at this squad at the moment. We've got to be honest as well. And I hate using excuses. I do hate it. But the injury list that we have at the moment is still affecting us big time. We've still got players missing. I think Bruno being missing yesterday, Joe Linton missing yesterday. We're two big players just off the back there. Miley being missing as well, who could have been a right back option to play. Kraft still missing as well.
Yeah.
So
can I come in on
the only
on
thing that we can do is go on then.
So I absolutely agree with your point about the level of injuries that we've got, but out of the people that appear on this podcast, might be the most pro Eddie Howe of the lot of us, but I am going to go in on something that I saw last night. That game and our opportunity to get to that final has gone after 6 minutes. We had 3 kids on the bench, and we had our third choice striker, Osula. So you'd say there's people way down the roster. We had a full, we can argue whether it's full strength, but it's pretty close to full strength team out. And all the substitutions that we made were first team players. And you had Chow and Botman in the middle of the injury crisis that you've just described, playing 90 minutes in a game that was over after 6. So now it looks like I'm the only person left on this stream, so I'm going to have to continue this rant to myself until Jason comes back. The game was over after 6 minutes. Chow and Bottom playing 90 minutes. All the subs that came on were first-team players. We already, before half-time, had Gordon go down with an injury. So we've lost another first-team player in straight off the bat there. And what on earth are two first team, our 2 best centre halves doing playing 90 minutes in that game when you had Alex Murphy on the bench, who could very easily come on at or before half-time and deputise for one of them. So really, for me, I cannot get my head around why we're risking crucial players with a big game on Saturday in a game that was a dead rubber for 84 minutes. I cannot get my head around it. So throw the kids on would have been my argument. You'd probably say, or perhaps Hal's argument is, you're then throwing them into a lion's den, an unwinnable situation. You could sap their confidence, but it's about what you say to them. It's about how you describe that task. I would say to them, you've got a free hit, lads. There's no pressure. There's no expectation to perform. You are there to cover injury risk for other players and to make your first team debuts. How many times has Sean Neve been on the bench? How many times now has Leo Shaha been on the bench without making an appearance? Maybe they'd have just been glad of coming on, playing at the Etihad, playing first team football for Newcastle United, and they'd have been delighted about that, maybe. So, yeah, I don't understand it. And what are you doing for their confidence, leaving them on the bench week after week after week and never really getting a run out? That can't be helping their confidence either. So I don't think it's as simple as maybe throw them on, they lose their confidence. I don't know. What else can we say about last night? Oh, you've joined me. Welcome back, Jason. I continued my rant about selections and substitutions and injuries last night to the best of my ability there. Talking about the possibility of throwing kids on, talking about how defenders and first team players particular, we've got 5 first choice first team defenders who are fit at the moment, and all of them played last night. And the 2 most important ones, which are Chow and Botman, particularly like Chow's level of how much has he played, how fatigued is he, and Botman's what we know about injury records. I can see no defence whatsoever for them 2 players playing 90 minutes last night when you've got, kids to throw on. And even the players that he threw on were first team players that he's also risking.
Well, you see the 20 messages that you sent in the chat yesterday about it. That's probably why my phone just said he doesn't want to listen anymore. So that's why I just left you to that for a second.
At least you've heard it before. I'll give you that, yeah.
But no, you know what? You weren't wrong. I've got to agree with you. I think that was an opportunity to give some of those lads a run out, and give them more of a chance. Because when are they getting football? Why not let them try and show what they can do? Give them some experience against playing probably one of the best teams in the Premier League. Well, not probably. It is one of the best teams in the Premier League. And experience was everything. But
I think the wonder for me, it's whether some of this is like how, when you look at the number of academy players that he's blooded, we did have that really weird period where we only had academy players and Lewis Hall and 3 keepers and a donkey on the bench a couple of seasons ago. But apart from in that period, he very rarely seems to blood first, academy graduates. So is it about his own hesitation to do that? I went to when the Barcelona game was on a few months ago, and they had that under-19s game, and I heard I can't remember which player it was, but I heard one of the parents of one of the players kind of talking about that they trained with the first team and how kind of kept the kids at one side, like they weren't allowed. They could train with them, but they weren't allowed in the dressing room, and they weren't allowed to kind of eat with them all afterwards. It was kind of like they were like lower status within that group, because you have to earn the right to be part of the group, and I appreciate that. But he does seem to have does he want to give them their first start because he feels like they haven't earned the right yet or something like that? Is it kind of about their status within the squad as to whether they earned the right to come on or whether they are just there to gain experience, and he sees them as whatever happens, I'm not going to bring them on? I don't know, but I do think it would have helped.
I'm going to lead this on to the next point that I have written down, which before we came on air, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question. So I thought I'd catch you off guard so that I get more of a live answer from you on it. I think I did put it in the chat with us yesterday in the pod chat, and it's someone else that brought it up. Now, obviously, the transfer window was awful. Well, I don't know. I could use other words I don't want to use whilst we're live.
I think I'll probably guess what. Yeah.
But the question is, was the money not spent because our owners are possibly thinking of a manager change in the summer? That was the question that was thrown out to me in another chat with another group of friends, and I stopped to think about it. And the more that I sit there thinking, it's not a bad theory.
I can see the argument. Everything we hear out of the club, including Hopkinson on the radio the other day, suggests that they absolutely are behind Howe. But I suppose the other counter argument I'd have there maybe is that we've consistently not backed him for a few windows, haven't we, really? In the summer, we bought a couple of strikers and we spent a bit of money, but this isn't the first window where we haven't looked to strengthen the first team squad.
We did buy players. We got Elanga, Voltemada.
Yeah, in the summer. But I mean, windows before that, January's before that in particular.
Yeah, Januaries have always been poor.
We have always
that's true.
Popped up high and dry, so maybe it isn't that. What I do think's needed, whether it's Howe or whether it's anybody else, I think he used the terms himself in his post-match interview of stale, and I feel like there is a bit of a stale feeling to that squad at the moment. There's been a talk about a bit of a relaunch and a bit of a rebuild needed, and I would like to see it, irrespective of who's in charge. For all the rant I've just gone on, I am absolutely Eddie Howe in, and can't see that changing for me personally imminently. But I would like to see a bit of an overhaul in the squad.
I wouldn't say I'm Howe out yet. I'm not against the idea of a change, but I also believe in managers. I know he's been there for a while now, but I still think, was it 3 years, 4 years now? 3?
4 full seasons. Yeah.
4 full seasons, is it now? That's it, yeah, 4 full seasons. I'm losing track of it. It's in football, they fly by. I still go by. You look at some of the best managers that have been around are the ones that stay in the jobs the longest, and it's because they do the time. I think Pep's a great example. The time he had at Barcelona, then he spent a good period of time at the club after that, which I think was Munich. Then he was at, obviously City now, the amount of time he's been there. Then you go back in time, you look at Alex Ferguson, probably one of the Premier League best, was there for a very, very long time at Man United. Arsene Wenger. Didn't always have great seasons. They didn't always win the league, or they did have bad seasons or bad games, and obviously getting knocked out of competitions. But they weren't getting fired. So that's where I believe, okay, it's time for Eddie Howe maybe to reassess himself.
Yeah,
just reassess his way of thinking and maybe go, okay, we had a full battery charge where everything was electric, and currently that battery charge has dropped right down below 40%. We need to charge it back up. We need to think of a way of refreshing this.
Yeah.
So, that's a tough one, which then leads us on to this weekend when we're at home against Brentford, who have come away from an away win at Aston Villa last weekend, if I'm right. I believe that's what you were telling me. 10 men as well. Wow, that's going to be a tough. I think that's going to be a tough game for us, because if they can go there and get a result, then they're not going to be afraid of coming up against us.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'll quickly run through this before you tell me what your thoughts are. Last 5 games at St James's Park, 4 of them have been Premier League. 3 wins and 1 draw, and one of them was in the Cup last year, and that was a win. So we've had 4 wins and 1 draw. Newcastle have scored 14 goals in those 5 games, and Brentford have scored 6. So stats-wise, in our favour. But this season's stats where they've been in our favour have not even come into play.
No.
So, yeah, what are you thinking?
We're talking as well about, with all of those statistics that you've just read out, a very different era for Brentford by the sound of it. You know, when you roll the clock back to maybe the beginning of those runs, they were probably a pretty new team in the Premier League, and they're very much an established side who are 7th in the league at the moment. As he said, coming off an incredible result away to win away at Villa Park at all, let alone with 10 men, is it? Well, I wouldn't back us to do it anytime soon. Put it that way. So, I think it would be a really tough game, and to take you back to what I was saying about midweek, I think we've now got an extra game worth of fatigue for multiple first team players, including some key defenders in those legs. That's why I was as keen that we made those changes, because on Saturday we've got a really tough game against a team who's high in confidence, above us in the league. You know, they're not playing in Europe. They've got the second top goal scorer in the Premier League, and we've flogged ourselves like a dead horse for 90 minutes in a game that was over after 6. So I think we're really up against it on Saturday. I really do, yeah.
No, I agree, definitely. I would say big threat with Brentford at the moment is their goal scorer, who's on 16 goals, obviously just behind Haaland on 20. Igor Thiago, who seems to be a bit of a goal machine. I can see him getting picked up by a higher Premier League club in the summer. And obviously, one of their game changers this season has been from midfield with Henderson, who seems to be spreading that ball and giving them the experience that I don't think they've had for a long time there. Which is going to prove
I thought he was finished when he went off to Holland. It felt like a bit of a farewell tour, didn't it? And he didn't. Yeah. I think last season he didn't really make that many appearances for Ajax. Somehow managed to get himself back in the England squad even still, and then he's moved to Brentford still by then. I don't think as a Newcastle fan he's anybody's favourite player, but you've got to grudgingly to respect his longevity, and he does seem to have been part of a few players and a new manager who've taken Brentford on to a new level that they haven't seemed to have got to before.
I was surprised he went there. I thought everyone else, I think everyone thought he was going to go and finish at the team that we don't mention on this site. But he decided to go to a different team that wear red and white instead.
Yeah, it was strange. He looked all lined up, didn't he, to go back there if he did.
Yeah, like retire at your first club, your home club sort of thing, and didn't do it, which shocked me. But obviously,
I feel like that doesn't seem to happen as much as you'd think. They're kind of going back to your roots. I suppose Rooney did it with Everton, but the one I always thought would do it was Milner, that would go back to Leeds, or there's quite a few players where they've come through. You always thought they'd go back there, and they never have. I suppose, regrettably as well, him not going back to the Mackems has worked out very well for them, because they've ended up getting Granit Xhaka. But let's not talk about them. Not on the table at the moment. The other player I would have liked us to have a look at and has impressed me is Kelleher. He's obviously sat on the bench for years at Liverpool, and he will have been a player that I'm sure our scouting and transfer department might have weighed up and wondered whether we go in for. In all respect to Brentford, if we had gone in for him, you'd probably have got him. And when you look at some of the mistakes that have been made by goalkeepers that play for us and the standards that we're maintaining in net, I think we could have done a hell of a lot worse than gone for Kelleher.
Yeah, no, I do think there were some options out there, but I don't think they were the right fit for our team. I know there's a few.
But the couple of free agents. That's the problem. You're right, and that perfect would have been, Mamardashvili. We looked at him, didn't we, from Valencia, who has now gone, and the other bench warmer now at Liverpool. But he wouldn't be the perfect keeper. And obviously, they tried for Trafford. They didn't get Trafford. But he would, for sometimes if you can't get the best that you'd want, you can't get the perfect fit. I'd rather get somebody who's still a significant improvement, perhaps, on what you did have.
Well, there was a couple of free there is still a couple of free agents out there, obviously ex-Premier League players, but they would just be bench warmers, and that's not what they want. Obviously, there's the likes of Jesse Lingard is still a free agent, but wouldn't I wouldn't have him with our squad, but he's out there. That's what I'm saying. The options were very limited.
Yeah.
I read today, Oxlade-Chamberlain is a free agent. I'm just like, well, this is happening for a reason. There's no Premier League clubs that are going to touch them anymore.
Yeah, and those two probably would want massive wages. I don't see that. For me, with in terms of real backups, we've weakened the squad with the Lascelles going, haven't we? If he was fit and available, there's another perfectly capable body who could have perhaps come on in a game like last night and saved 20 minutes in the legs of somebody else, if nothing else. So there could have been some defender somewhere who, they're not going to start for you, but they do 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there to save other people.
Yeah, doing the job to help close games out. Yeah. I was happy for Lascelles' move, though. I thought he wants one last hurrah. He wants to play some football. He doesn't want to retire being on the bench, which I can understand. He's done his stint. Good 12 years with us at the club.
Good
took us through some ups and downs. So yeah, he did his job. So for Saturday, losing track of my days. Let's do some score predictions. Now, I've always been one that's gone big with this one, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to let you go first. What you thinking? Score prediction?
That's kind of you, Jason, that put me on the spot like that. Can't really sit here and go tough game, fatigue, etc., and say, well, yeah, and we'll beat them 3-0. I really think we're in for a very, very tough afternoon on Saturday, and I've backed us to win a few times recently, which isn't actually like me very much. So I'm going to go 2-2 draw. And be happy with it, unfortunately, given the week that we've had and relative forms of the two teams that are coming into it. What do you think?
Well, it's funny you said that, because the only counter thing I can say to that is, where do you think these two goals are going to come from?
Elanga.
I was actually going to say, I was going to be optimistic, but I was going to say a 1-0 win. I was going to say a 1-0 win. I was torn between 1-1 and 1-0, but I do think that'll be in our favour being at home, but I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game because of what you said, like the games that we've played, the guys being tired, but I do think we can snatch that one goal. And I do think it's going to be Wissa that scores just because of, I think he's going to score against his former club.
Just like you said with me, where's the two goals coming from? Similar question back to you. Where's the clean sheet coming from?
Well, at home we've been a little bit more solid. If we were away from home, I would definitely not have put a 0 on there. But at home, I think we can do it. Who starts in goal for you, Pope or Ramsdale?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I hadn't really, because in my head until last night when I first
he shocked me with that change yesterday. Yeah, I didn't think that was
when I first saw it. I was like, oh, did Pope play in this first leg? Is he just using one for the cups and one for the league? But Pope started.
Well, he does normally do that. But I thought Pope played in the first leg, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He played in the first leg, and whether it is because he dropped that howler away at Anfield, is he? I mean, this will be the truth, won't it? Because last time, just as he brought one in, the other one got injured. He's not been put on the spot as to, after a mistake from one of them about whether he keeps one. They've kind of complemented each other in getting injured. So, well, you want to have the ball. You want to play it out, presumably from the back. There's not a great deal to choose from them in any other respect than that. particularly if with Pope's being a little accident prone at the moment. So maybe
I see Pope has actually improved. I see Pope's improved with his kicking and his passing at the back, and I think that's something he's been working on.
Yeah.
And I think that's because of the pressure with the Ramsdale situation, because obviously he is good with it. Obviously, we get nervous when Pope gets the ball, but the last few games I've seen, he's been receiving the ball, and I've just seen him a little bit more comfortable on the ball. It might just be me overlooking it, and that's normal, but I do see it a little bit different, which is good to see. But sometimes going back to the keeper, I like the old fashioned. Once he gets it, just get it back up that field, and we start again. We'll reset again, and we get on the halfway line. I don't like this passing around the back, because I feel that Malik Chow's a great example of that. He did it yesterday. He did it against Liverpool. Great defender. He's been well for us, but I think sometimes he tries passes to cut midfield and go straight to attack, and they keep getting intercepted. And I just think sometimes we've got to play the old-fashioned way of football and just get it up the field and play it that style.
I don't know, because I think at the minute, Voltemade, we've seen his hold-up play is. I mean, it's shocking at the moment.
It is.
He's getting quite easily bullied physically. For all we've got if he plays, for all we've got a big lad up front. I don't think we are a team who's set up to play more direct like that. You could fire it out wide and hope Elanga runs after it or something if it gets over.
Problem is he drops in too deep sometimes, and then when the crosses do come in, he's not there on the 6-yard line.
But that's his game. I know you're right, but that's his game, isn't it? He really is. He's not a last shoulder defender. That's why I've talked in a match reaction recently about if one of them plays, if him and Wissa play, you've got one on the last shoulder and one as a number 10, but we don't seem to want to do that at the minute. And I don't think Saturday's going to be the start of it either.
So, well, we'll leave it on that. It was a shorter. Well, it was a little bit longer than I expected. We got more out of that. That was
I had to stop the time for 5 minutes in the beginning. So
I'll let you have your solo rant as well. We gave you a solo moment there.
God knows.
Talk about what you would have done yesterday's game. Giving those young lads would love you right now if they come and watch this, because they're like, yes, Andy, we would have been on the pitch as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got your solo moment. So 2-2 from Andy is his prediction. 1-0 from me. Guys, leave your comments below. Put your predictions in there, and
subscribe.
Let us know what you're thinking. Yeah, subscribe. One of the things that we are looking to do, so leave the comments below, is if you guys are interested in coming on as a guest on NUFC 360 with us. Comment below, and we may look for you, because this may be something that we're going to look to do to start getting a few more opinions, because we like to hear opinions. We also like a little bit of conflict and just different points of view, which we do have between our group, which is great. If you're abroad, please comment as well. We want fans from all over. We've already got our American recruits in here. We've got our Swedish Max,
lads as well.
So yes, definitely. So Andy, thank you for your time tonight.
Good night.
Let's enjoy Saturday. Let's hope for the best, and we'll see you all next Thursday. Take care, Andy.